Good morning and welcome to the Dan Beasley Show. This show is about contemporary news items as they appear on the web and in the news sources before they hit the national airwaves. Today we have probably about a dozen stories to cover. One being a pink alien planet has been photographed for the first time, and it's the smallest that's been photographed around a sun-like star. Astronomers have snapped a photo of a pink alien world that's the smallest yet, and it's like a star like our sun. Alien planet GJ504b is colder and bluer than astronomers had anticipated from the infrared data that the Subaru telescope in Hawaii revealed. If we could travel this planet, we would still see glowing from the heat of the formation with a color reminiscent of a dark cherry blossom, a dull magenta. In other words, the planet has just been formed and is still undergoing the magma and the formation of its crust. It says our near-infrared camera revealed its color much more blue than other image planets and may indicate an atmosphere that has fewer clouds. The exoplanet orbits star GJ504 is 57 light years from Earth, slightly hotter than the Sun, faintly visible to the naked eye in the constellation Virgo. Star system is relatively young at 160 million years old. Earth, for comparison, is 4.5 billion years old. So anyway, it's like 4 times the size of Jupiter, I think. And the Bible comments about there will be signs in the heavens, and this is definitely a sign in the heavens of at the end times. In the world of Amber Alerts protection, Amber Alerts on phones have awakened California up for the first time. Amber Alerts on the phone for the first time. The state of California has received a high-pitch alert on their phone containing information about a missing child. Amber Alert on the phone also alerted Californians to the car the suspect abductor was driving. I have the of the sun. It looks as though we're no more than 3 to 4 months away from a complete field reversal. This change will have ripple effects throughout the entire solar system. The effects will be so powerful that they will be felt beyond Pluto and may affect phenomena such as cosmic rays, which some believe can alter the climate on Earth. So anyway, man, that's not the only thing that can affect the climate on Earth. It could be the sun's cycle itself. To show who their friends really are, the Muslims, Turkey's Islamic government is constructing a massive $100 million 15-acre mosque in Lanham, Maryland, that is expected to become the largest and most striking example of Islamic architecture in the Western Hemisphere by October 2014. In May, Turkey Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan placed a ceremonial stone at the construction site. Now the 5-building project known as the Turkish American Culture and Civilization Center is well underway in the town just outside of Washington, D.C. with a population of 10,000. Moving along to our next news story, pythons have overtaken the Everglades in Florida due to pythons being a popular pet and then they are set free into the environment. They now have really prospered in the Everglades. This is coming out of Halifax. However, autopsies will be conducted this week, later Tuesday, on 2 young children after a python escaped a pet store in northern New Brunswick and strangled the boys while they slept in an apartment in the same building. RCMP confirms the deceased was a 5-year-old boy and a 7-year-old boy. The boys are being identified as Connor and Noah Barth. Police say an investigation is underway and no charges have yet been laid. The boys' bodies were removed from the scene late Monday night. A python is a dangerous creature. It's nothing to be played with. And they proliferate, and they have no natural predators in this part of the world. A few days ago, we reported on mystery lights in Denver and also in St. Louis. Now here they are in Virginia. Mystery lights continue. They keep coming. The reaction was heard. They keep coming on the video that was taken Sunday night, August 4th, as Virginia residents stared up at more mysterious lights that danced in the night sky. It's the latest in a series of reports by citizens across the U.S. of a strange phenomenon that has yet to be confirmed. Catherine Crable of Irvington, Virginia, submitted a new video to WND, WorldNet Daily, and I personally saw at least 30 plus lights, she says. This is not the best video. They show up more like pinpoints of light when they were actually bright orange orbs. Some seem it's just strange lights. Well, we knew it was coming one day. The Bible prophesied that the church one day would be persecuted by the world, and it's already started becoming more of a physical outlet than a subtle persecution. Hail Satan was painted in Latin on a church. And someone says, I really can't wrap my head around why anyone would want to do that. And someone out of Danville, Virginia, members of a historic church in Danville, says they're shocked after someone vandalized the building over the weekend. A member of the Schoolfield Church of the Brethren noticed the vandalism Saturday. Church has been operating for over 100 years and is a historic part of the Schoolfield community. Yesterday morning, I came over to do some yard work at the church to prepare for today, and it's quite shocking to go to the back of the church and see the destruction that had been done, said church member Rhiannon Patterson. The vandalism included 3 symbols and a phrase written in Latin, which translates "Hail Satan." Moving on, the cops have been giving even more authority, or they're grabbing for more authority than they're authorized to have. The cops can take away your cash, your car, your house, even if you're never convicted of a crime. And this is coming from the Business Insider. The New Yorker Sarah Stillman has a heartbreaking story out of an appalling police tactic, civil forfeiture, which lets police departments make tons of money from taking supposed criminals' property. Civil forfeiture is largely a product of a war on drugs. In 1984, Congress passed an omnibus crime bill which gave police departments a cut of the assets seized during drug raids and other investigations. Through civil forfeiture, cops can take property they believe was obtained illicitly before you were convicted of any wrongdoing by a court of law, and the people whose assets have been seized, they have to go to court to try to get it back, which may cost more money than the property itself. In many cases, civil forfeiture affects poor minorities who have little resources and recourse. The New Yorker profiled one elderly couple, Mary and Leon Adams, whose house was seized after their son allegedly sold $20 worth of pot on their porch. They received an eviction notice, but were able to stay in their home during the forfeiture proceedings because of Leon's health conditions, but they were never charged with a crime. So that is what is going on in the world of law enforcement today. Uh, just when you thought the history had been written and the ink had dried good in the history books, comes a new story on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Uh, it's widespread belief that those bombs were dropped on those two Japanese cities to end World War II because the Japanese would refuse to surrender. However, um, the dropping of the nuclear warheads was propaganda, and they were told on the 68th anniversary of the attacks that it's important to step back and view the catastrophic event not through a prism of propaganda and mythologizing, but instead through the lens of historical scrutiny. For as it is often the case, the disparity between the official history and reality is characterized by lies and deceptions, boasted by patriotism and American exceptionalism. We are told repeatedly that without the use of the weapons, the current um, that Japan would never have surrendered. We are told that President Truman was troubled by the mounting Allied casualties and that Joint Chiefs had told him to expect 1 million dead Americans in the pending attack on the Japanese home islands. Yet this figure is a complete fabrication invented by the Secretary of War Stimson. No such claim was ever made by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and Truman himself, in different statements, asserted that thousands of lives would be saved and 250,000 of the flower of our young manhood were worth a couple of Japanese cities. And I thought that 200,000 of our young men would be saved by making the decision. None of these statements, however, were based on any evidence. And the alleged indefatigability of the Japanese military and the unwillingness to surrender is also a proven myth. By the summer of 1945, their position was hopeless and numerous attempts to surrender had already been made. Brigadier General Carter W. Clark stated, "We brought them down to an abject surrender through the accelerated shrinking of their merchant marine and hunger alone. And when we didn't need to do it, we knew we did, and we knew we didn't need to do it. And they knew that we knew we didn't need to do it. We used them as an experiment for 2 atomic bombs." Truman knew 2 weeks in advance before the Potsdam Conference, which began in July of 1945, that the Japanese were making overtures to surrender, the only condition being the retention of the emperor. But Truman was determined to test the 2 bombs. In the words of the General Douglas MacArthur, the war may have ended weeks earlier, he said, if the U.S. had agreed, as it later did anyway, to the retention of the institution of the emperor. In the end, the U.S. agreed to the terms of the Japanese surrender anyway, but not until they had tested their new weapons and caused the deaths of hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians. And in reality, most of the military top brass were disgusted at the decision to bomb Hiroshima and Nagasaki, understood completely that it served no military purpose whatsoever. Admiral William D. Ley and the President's Chief of Staff said the use of this barbarous weapon at Hiroshima and Nagasaki was of no material assistance in our war against Japan. The Japanese were already defeated and ready to surrender. The view was reiterated by Fleet Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, who said the Japanese had in fact already sued for peace. The atomic bomb played no decisive part from a purely military standpoint in the defeat of Japan. So that is why what is going on in the world today, in the world of history, is being rewritten. And the truth is coming out. Eventually, the Bible says the truth shall set you free. So now we're knowing that these people were being used as lab rats, so to speak, under the under the cover of war. Coming from the Middle East, without warning, the United States bombs Yemen. And it says hours ahead of the evacuation of the U.S. Embassy, 5 missiles from suspected drones turned trucks into fireballs. A Yemeni soldier stops a car at a checkpoint in a street leading to the U.S. Embassy in Sana'a, Yemen, Sunday, August 4, 2013. Security forces closed their access roads, put up extra blast walls, and beef up patrols near some of the 21 diplomatic missions in the Muslim world that Washington ordered closed for the weekend over a significant threat of an al-Qaeda attack. No travel warnings were issued for Yemen citizens ahead of the U.S. drone attack on Tuesday. According to ABC News, Yemeni officials said that suspected U.S. drone fired a missile at a car carrying 4 men in the Al-Arkin district of the Marib province, setting it on fire and killing all of them. They believe that one of the dead is Salud Shuti, a senior al-Qaeda member. The U.S. bombing, the latest in a string against poverty-stricken and politically fractured nation, comes amid a global travel warning for U.S. citizens issued by the State Department last week for closure for more than 20 embassies and consulates across the Middle East and North Africa. And that concludes our news for today. We always make commentary at the end of this show to indicate just how fragile life is,